flying here. Microphone check, mic check, mic check, mic check. Looks like people are popping in. If you don't mind, please give me an audio check. Make sure my audio sounds all right. Hopefully I don't sound like I'm yelling, and hopefully my music isn't too loud. So if you're in the chat room, just say, hey, audio sounds like crap, or audio sounds good, what have you. It's greatly appreciated. Okay, so, and everybody's wanting to IM right now. All right, Mr. Rice, thank you for the help. Man, I got a house flying here. Dadgummit, that's gonna annoy the crap out of me. Get out of here. Crap. So annoying. Is my music too loud, Mr. Rice? So I like having some music playing in the background while I edit. Let's grab some whiskey. Grab some whiskey. Gotta have some whiskey for my edit flow. Gotta have it. That bottle's getting a little low. Not a sponsor. Dalmore 12 single malt Scotch whiskey. Hey, 7ALH. Welcome. I think I've seen you over on Instagram, right? You're local here to this area, the Charlotte, North Carolina area. Am I right? It's good to see you. Thanks for popping in. We're going to get started here in a second. I want to make sure everything is square on the computer, and my broadcasting software updated right before I launched this live stream. Last time that happened, it was an absolute mess. So hopefully we won't have any of those issues tonight. Fingers crossed. All right, so let me move this screen over here. Okay, more people popping in. This is great. Sounds like you're buzzing on your voice. All right, that could be my cable here, so thank you. I'm gonna cut the audio for a second. Okay, how's the audio now? Too loud, too soft, any buzz? Mr. Rice, I appreciate you. There's a slight delay between what I say and what you guys see on the stream. Hey, okay. We're good. All right. Hopefully we're good. Hopefully we're good. Let's see. Mic check. Checking out the chat room. There's Mr. Mike Olson in the house. Good to see you, my man. Thanks for the continued support. For everybody that's joining in, welcome, and I'd like to say thank you. And it's Friday night. I am Aunt Pruitt. This is what I do on Friday nights. I don't go out and about partying it up out in the streets. I party right here in my little office / nook / studio and do live photo editing, sometimes live video editing, sometimes whatever it is, digital content related. That's just what I do on Friday nights. I love to create. I love to dominate. That's just what I do. But thanks for popping in. I try to do this every Friday night. I also try to share some videos outside of the live feed at least once a week. This week's regular video for my YouTube subscribers didn't happen because I screwed up some of my example footage and example shots. So I may have to redo that, or I'll just punt and go to plan B and publish something tomorrow. We shall see. All right. Cool. Thank you, Mr. Rice. I have been given the go ahead on my audio. So what we're going to do is get started with tonight's editing process. I thought about this a little while, and let me go ahead and flip on over to my computer screen here. See if I can do this right. There, you should see Lightroom, and you see a whole bunch of images here. All right, but that's not what I want to show you. I want to show you this shot right here. Okay, so this image, I captured it a couple weeks ago. I took a little mini vacation out to Las Vegas, and I did pretty much nothing the whole time I was there. I didn't go out running around on the strip and gambling. I really just sort of sat back and just chilled out. But I had an amazing view from my room, and while I was there, apparently this was monsoon season in Las Vegas, so there was a lot of rain happening in the middle of the desert just all of a sudden. And so each night that I was there, I want to say of the 3 nights I was there, 2 of those nights it was bad thunderstorms in addition to the rain. And I wanted to take advantage of it. I figured I had this amazing view, and I pulled out my little weather app to try to track when the storm was coming. And I just set up shop in my room and said, you know what, I'm going to try to get some lightning shots. And I looked out and I got a lightning shot. Thank you, Mr. Rice. But there's a process when it comes to getting lightning, just in case you don't know. Because lightning happens so fast, there's a bunch of different tools out there that you can buy for your camera when you go and set your shot up. There's a tool that you can attach to your hot shoe that allows you to automatically hit the shutter the second lightning is sensed. Okay, so you're hoping that technology is going to work for you, and some of those products, they do work fairly well. The less expensive ones, yeah, it's sort of hit or miss. I don't have one of those tools. I can't think of what the thing is called right now off the top of my head, but I don't have one of those. What I do is essentially set up as if I'm getting ready to shoot a time lapse, and instead of doing the time lapse with a really fast shutter, I do a slow shutter. Typically I do like a 5-second shutter speed, sometimes even 10 seconds, just depends on what I notice from the storm. Again, I have my little storm radar app going on my phone, so I know which direction the storm is coming, and try to know where to start aiming my camera and whatnot, and also be safe. And then I just watch the skies, and I just watch as the lightning hits and decide whether I need to do a 10-second shutter speed, 5-second, or what have you. And I think with this particular shot here in Las Vegas, I was shooting 10-second shutter speed and having it snap pretty much every 10 seconds. It would hold open and the lightning would hit, and then it would shut, and I just keep going and keep going. And I probably got about 200 shots, just waiting around, just letting it run. Put it on a steady tripod, hold it still, and fire up your little intervalometer or time-lapse mode and just tell it to go. And what you see here is actually a composite of 2 images. Because I had the tripod, I was able to get everything framed up and steady, but this is actually 2 images. I think one shot had this particular lightning bolt here, and the other shot had the lightning bolt back here. Okay, so what I want to do tonight is try to recreate this image and show you how I went about doing it. The most important thing was understanding the actual process that it took to capture those shots. And that's, first of all, plan your shot, know where the storm is and where the storm is going. Using a weather app of your choice, I recommend Storm Radar. Get yourself a nice tripod, make sure you have safety, and then just set it up as if you're doing a time lapse, and you'll be good to go. Hopefully that helps. All right, so let's go ahead and dive in and pull up Lightroom right here on my screen. Now I did a catalog dump this morning and did a little cleaning up, so I don't have all of the photographs in here, but you can see there's at least 30-40 shots right here from that particular scene. Okay, another thing when you're setting this stuff up, make sure you have your white balance set to something manual and not automatic, because I did not do that and it almost cost me on this shot. But yeah, this is just a bunch of the same shots. I'm scrubbing through, and you notice there is no lightning, but there's lightning right there. So I'll go back and I'll mark it. Well, hold on, I went too far. I'm going too fast for Lightroom. Yikes, sorry. So there's lightning on that shot, and so I will mark it with a 7, which gives it a color coding of yellow down there. Okay, and then I'll keep scrolling through looking for another one. Nope, that's not it. There's another one somewhere down here. Keep scrolling. Did I move the file? Surely I didn't move the file. So that's one. That one's already marked. Let's jump up here early in the scene. Well, I'll be dip. I guess I removed. No, I didn't. There it is. It's right there. So we'll mark that one. Okay. And then you see this shot. This shot is really dark, but that's okay, because we're going to use an HDR merge that will allow us to get all of those levels of exposure and put them into one shot. So we got that shot, and then I'll do one other shot just for the tone. So let's go with that one, like that. Okay. All right, so now we'll go back to my library up here at the top, and if you hit on this metadata tab, you can tell it to sort it by your color like this, and I said yellow, and I'm only going to use these 3 images here. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a little developing. Mark Miller in the house. Ant, big fan. Oh man, thank you. Dadgummit. Y'all gonna make me blush up in here. Good to see you, Mr. Miller. Thanks for hopping in. Hopefully I can give you some value from this live stream tonight. Thanks for popping in. All right, so now I'm going to work on these 3 images here. Okay, let's start with the dark one. Hit develop, and for the most part the detail on this one looks okay because it was on a tripod. I didn't have a lot of vibration, so there's not a lot of noise reduction or anything like that needed, so I'm not going to worry about that one. So I move over to this shot. Now this one, there's a couple issues here. Yeah, we have the lightning bolt, which looks pretty daggum stellar, but apparently I didn't clean off my image sensor, because if you look closely right here, there's a little artifact, and that's usually some dust on your camera's image sensor. So I need to remove that, and it looks like there's another one there. So let's go ahead and start cleaning this up with just a plain old spot removal tool. Just click over here for spot removal. Whoops, I hit the wrong button on my keyboard. Sorry about that. Okay, but you hit this right here for your spot removal, and then all you got to do generally is make sure you have it set to heal. And if you just put a big enough circle around it like this and just click one time, it fixes it. You don't have to drag or anything like that. So I'm gonna click there. That takes it away. I don't see any more sensor issues there, so we're good on that. We'll go ahead and close this up. Oh, by the way, sorry, before we keep rolling, if you guys don't mind, please hit the share button on this feed. Share it out to your Twitter, Facebooks, and all of that, so other people can join in. I really appreciate that support. As a matter of fact, I'm going to hit share on it myself. See, watch. I'm going to go down here. I'm going to click this Twitter button, and I'm going to hit tweet. Boom, it's done. If you guys don't mind doing that, I would really, really appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, so now back to our image here. If I can do this right. There. Okay, so we got the image cleaned up from a sensor standpoint, so that's good. The color on this looks okay. It's not the greatest. Clarity is not the greatest, but so we'll give it a little more clarity right here. Push that up. And also, I don't like the image tilt, so we need to straighten this thing out some. So I can bring this crop up a little bit, and we're going to straighten it out just a touch, something like that. That looks a little bit better, because I didn't really mind the buildings having a little bit of a lean, but when you got that tower right there, that tower needs to be straight up and down, you know, and all of that curve comes from just the way your lens is squared away on your camera. Sometimes the lenses give a little bit of vignetting and bowing, and that's why you have to tell it to use these little profiles to where it can try to straighten it out for you by default. Okay, all right, so we got that straight. Let's check the exposure. I'm gonna bring it down just a touch. Yeah, just a little bit, but not too much. Okay, all right, I think we're good on this one. So now what I want to do is synchronize the settings that I did on this particular image with the other 2 images. So I'm going to right click, well actually I'm going to select these 2 down here on the bottom, and then I'll hit this synchronize button over here, and what that's going to do is pass over to that other image everything that I just did from a rotation standpoint, sharpening, getting rid of that little spotty noise, and then I'm going to do the same thing with that first image and just say synchronize. Got it. Okay, so that's done. Now we need to merge these together, so I'm going to select all three, and there's a couple ways we can go about doing this. If you right click, you say photo merge, HDR, and this is going to go through a little preview. And the key with the HDR is when you shoot HDR by default on your camera automatically snaps 3 different shots, or it'll snap up to 5 shots, okay? But each one of those shots have a different exposure level. One will be perfect exposure, one will be overexposed and really bright, one will be underexposed and really dark. So it snaps those 3 shots in succession, and then it puts them together, mashes them together as one image. And when it does that, it processes all of the exposure levels, and it's supposed to give you more of a dynamic range. So in the darker spots of the image, you're able to see a little more detail, and in the brighter spots of the image, you're not dealing with blown out skies and blown out highlights and things like that. It's really supposed to balance it out. If you use something like the Google Pixel phone, it has that feature automatically built in, so where just about every shot you shoot, it does HDR processing to try to minimize the blown out highlights and raise up the shadow detail. So that's how that works. Okay, so now that we hit this HDR merge, we get a little bit of a preview. Okay, now you can see this over here on the left hand side of the image. It's not as dark now, okay, because right there is super dark, and you can tell it to auto align it and make sure everything is squared away from an alignment standpoint, because you're stacking 3 images, so you don't want them to be crooked. And pretty much just do this high deghosting setting and just hit merge, and it's going to think. See, it's processing down here on the bottom. It's processing up there too, creating HDR. There it goes. Okay, so now it's done. So supposedly my image, normally it sticks it all the way at the end. Looks like it didn't do that this time. Where did it put it? If I click there, that's not it. Where did it put it? Oh, I got the filter on maybe. Let's see, where did it put my image? There it is. Yeah, that's it. You can see in the file name right there, it says HDR, so that's the one. So we hit develop and we got it back, but unfortunately we lost our lightning over here on, dang it, I keep hitting that button, man, I need to disable that. Over here on the right we lost our lightning, so I don't want to go with that particular method. So what I'll do is go back and merge them a different way. So let's go back to my little filter, say yellow, grab all 3 of those. I'm going to right click and I'm going to say edit in Photoshop as layers. And now Photoshop is going to open up. And close this media player. Okay, so now we got Photoshop opening up, and it's going to open up as layers over here. Should be 3 different shots. Perfect. Okay, now what I'm going to do now is going to be very similar to that HDR merge, but not quite. I'm going to do the whole creating a smart object process here. So I'm going to take all 3 of these images, that's one, that's another, and that's the other, and I'm going to merge them together as a smart object. So I'll just select all 3 of them like that, then I'll right click and say convert to smart object. And all this is going to do is put them all together in one particular layer. But then there's some other math and calculations that Photoshop can do for me. When we go to the layer menu and we'll go to smart objects and we'll go to the stack mode, and if you select mean, it's going to average out everything in this image, from the tones, from the sharpness, from the noise. It's going to try to average out everything that's going on and give you the final look. So in theory, I should get this lightning bolt back, and I'll get that lightning back, and you'll notice the exposure over on the left hand side, that's brought up a little bit. It's not as dark. So you got yourself an HDR image. Got all your dynamic range back. Your shadows are not too dark. Your highlights are not too bright. See? Pretty quick and easy fix. So I'm done with that part. But now let's get into the nitty-gritty of really processing and editing this shot. So I'm going to, let's see, first rasterize it so it becomes one particular layer by itself instead of three. So now we just got one image here. Then I'm going to reconvert it. Actually, I'll just do my action. I want to go ahead and go through all of my sharpening. So up here at the top, I have little actions squared away, which are like macros. And right here, I have my ant sharpening action. So all I have to do is hit this play button, and it's going to go through and do all of the sharpening for me that I would normally do within a few seconds. Uh-oh, I borked it somewhere, so I'll tell it to stop. So it looks like it got stuck right here. No worries, I can fix that. I'm going to group these layers together because that's what I would normally do. And I'll take this first layer and I'm going to turn it into a Gaussian blur layer, because this creates what they call frequency separation. And then on this next layer, I'm going to change the blend mode to linear light, and it's going to look really weird. And then I'll go back over here and say filter, other, high pass filter. So now it looks better, but I need to sharpen it up because it's a little bit blurry. So we're going to sharpen it. See, if I take it too high, that's too sharp. It looks really, really, really bad. Don't do that. Don't over sharpen your images. Play around with it, find a happy medium. Looks like 5.4 is pretty good. There. I can live with that. Well, not really. Let me push it up just a little more. Okay. Yeah, I can live with that. If I zoom in on it some. Looks okay. Nice and crispy. The lightning looks good. Lightning over here looks good. Yeah, that works. Alright, so we have that done. We can do a quick before and after. That's before. That's after. Much better. Once I'm satisfied with that, I like to go ahead and just merge that group and tell myself, okay, I don't have to do any more sharpening right now. Just leave it be. And then I also like to make a duplicate just so I have a backup, because now I'm going to start messing around with the color tones, and I'm going to give this shot a little more rain, because if you look at this image, we have rain on the screen. Okay, there's no rain there. It was raining out there, but it wasn't raining really hard, and I felt like I should give it a little more drama. Okay, but before I do that, let's go ahead and play around with some of the colors on this thing. So we can right click again, make it another smart object. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the chat room, and if I'm going too fast, tell me to slow down. I don't mind slowing down and helping folks out, so just say it in the chat room. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and open up our camera raw filter, which is very similar to Lightroom. Has all of the same controls. Okay, so I want to adjust the color temperature a little bit right here. Let's cool it off some. No, not too much. Warm it up some. Yeah, warming it up makes it look fairly nice. Check the tint. Yeah, that'll work. Our exposure is still a little low when you compare it to what's on the histogram. So I'm going to push it up just a touch. Not too much. That's good. And then we're going to take these highlights and bring the highlights back down just a little bit. Okay. Bring the white up, because I really want to bring the whites up so I can get more of that lightning detail to come through. Something like that. And when I bring this black level down, that's very close to what the contrast will do, because it'll make the colors, you know, sort of separate, giving you a little more detail like that. Okay. Still a little too dark, so we'll give it a little more fill light with the shadows. Alright, so that looks pretty good. So now let's jump on this clarity. We're going to crank the clarity up just for the heck of it. It's going to look bad, but I want to crank it up anyway. Actually, that doesn't look too bad. But see, when you crank it up, you get to see all of that noise in the background, all that extra grain. That's not a good look. So we don't want to do that. So we're going to pull it back just a touch. Something like that. Dehaze. See, now that's really bringing out that boat. You know what, Mr. Miller, starting out with Lightroom, the best advice I can give you with using Lightroom, the way that menu is squared away on the right hand side, if you just start from the top of that menu and work your way down, it will make your edit flow a lot easier. A lot of people are not going to understand exposure or clarity or vibrance or saturation just from going and hunting and pecking. But if you just start from the top, I think the top is white balance, and then the next one is exposure, and then after that is shadows. But if you just work your way down like that, I guarantee you it'll just start coming to you, and you'll be so much more comfortable with it. I promise you. That's what I did, because when I first started with Lightroom years ago, it intimidated the crap out of me. And the same goes with Photoshop. Photoshop still intimidates me. There's so much in here. Jeez. All right. So yeah, let's go ahead and play with that dehaze just a little more right here, because that dehaze is bringing out more of the lightning, bringing it out just a touch more. Vibrance, saturation. I like to crank the saturation just to see what happens, and I also like to crank the vibrance just to see what happens, and then I'll bring them back down slowly to see where that happy medium is. Something along these lines should work. Okay, now so far this is looking pretty good. We have really nice detail with our sky, because you can see the clouds back here. There's not a lot of grain and noise back there. The colors look pretty good. It's a cooled off image. The highlights are still a little too much there. Highlights look pretty good. Hey, we're straight on that. But I'm going to look at it one more time from a sharpening standpoint and a noise standpoint. And there's a trick here inside of this camera raw filter. If you hold down your Alt key on your keyboard, I think it's Option on Mac, and you move one of these sliders, like I'm going to move this radius slider and hold down Alt, what that's doing is telling me what exactly is going to be affected on my image there. And right there, the radius is really trying to look at the edges in the image, which is what you want for sharpening. You don't want to sharpen everything, you just want to sharpen edges. So I want to push it up to right about here, and then I'll do the same thing for sharpening. Just hold down Alt, click on the amount, and start sharpening. And if I push it too far, you'll see that you'll get a little extra haloing around your edges, and you don't want that. So just push it nice and gently, find a happy medium. Okay, the masking is another part. The more you push that, the more it shows this is what I'm going to sharpen. Everything that's in black is not going to be affected. Everything in white will be affected by your sharpening. So now that looks a lot better, and it didn't really mess with the sky or anything, because you don't want to sharpen the sky. The sky should be soft. Okay, do the same trick with your luminance or noise reduction. Hold down your Alt key, move that slider, and if you're looking in this upper right corner, you can see the noise. When I click Alt, you can see that grain back there, and as I push it up, you'll see it start to go away. But you don't want to push it too far, because if you push it too far, it softens the whole image and you lose some of the textures that you have on this building right here. Sometimes it's okay to just go nuts on noise reduction, but most of the time, no, because you don't want to lose the details. This building right here, this Planet Hollywood Casino and Resort, is beautiful building. Leave some of that texture on it. You know, same goes for this. This is the that's Paris Hotel and Casino. So we're going to bring that noise reduction back down just to where we're able to see the noise removed from the clouds in the upper right corner, just enough. So right about there should do it. Boom. Y'all, we're almost there with this image. it's that looks pretty good for the most part. There's no rain showing, but we can fix that. There, that looks so much better. So this is the before and this is the after. Much better detail with the color tones. The lightning looks great. This works. Cool. Any questions before we move on? Go ahead and just ask away. And I'm going to have a sip of bourbon because my throat's dry. Well, not bourbon, scotch. Good stuff. I have an eyelash in my eye. Sorry. Sweet. Thank you, Seven. All right, so back to Photoshop. Now, again, this image has rain, so let's go ahead and put some rain in here. I'm not the biggest fan of compositing and things like that, but sometimes it just works, and so I don't ever try to criticize folks that use Photoshop and just, you know, they photoshopped that image. Everybody does it to a certain degree. You just have to figure out what's tasteful, what works for your particular project or whatever the look is. Most of the time I don't do a lot of heavy photoshopping of my stuff. I use Photoshop, but I don't always do a whole lot of manipulation of the image. Just depends on the project. Sometimes I may have to remove a logo, so I will tell Photoshop, remove the logo. Boom, done. That's Photoshopping. Here I want to give this a little more drama, so I'm going to add some rain. All right, so we're going to jump back in. Yeah, Mark, this scotch is, tonight I am having the Dalmore 12 single malt scotch. Not a sponsor yet. Dalmore, if y'all want to sponsor me, give me a holler. But that is a Dalmore 12 single malt, and I believe that's an actual Highland. I love scotch. I could talk about scotch all day. I also have over here another Highland scotch. This is a Dalwhinnie 15. I got more scotch downstairs. This is probably my favorite one, and this is probably why it stays up here by my desk. But this is the Lagavulin 16. This is an Isla scotch, which is really, really peaty and smoky, and I love it. Not a sponsor. All right, so there, Scotch. Scotch and content creation, baby, they go hand in hand. All right, so let's go back to Photoshop here. So let's go ahead and make some rain, shall we? The tip to this is you go down to your panel here, layer panel, and you want to select solid color. And what that's going to do is create a new layer right here on the top, and we're going to select black. Okay, click OK. And you're looking at this like, dadgummit, why the heck did you just black out your image? Don't worry, we'll get there. So now I like to turn this into a smart object so I can edit it a little later just in case I need to. And then we go over to our filter menu at the top, go down and you select noise, and then you select add noise. And I know that's like the worst thing to hear, is you need to add some noise to your shot. Trust me, you never want to do that, but for this instance we're going to add noise. And you just play around with this, because if you look a little closer it almost looks like little specks of rain. And you want to make sure you have it set to Gaussian and monochromatic. Okay, and if you do uniform it looks a little weird, so tell it be Gaussian, because raindrops are random, they don't all look the same, and you just have to sort of figure out the amount of noise that you think will work best. I'm going to go over to, I'll just go right there, about 44, and we'll just click OK. Okay, so now we'll go over to our layer panel again. We're going to change the blend mode, and you can go with lighten, screen, soft light, play around with them. They all give you different results, and some work better than others. I think I went with soft light here. Nope, soft light doesn't work, so let's go with lighten. Yeah, we'll go with lighten. All right, see, lighten, what that does is take all of the white and display it on the screen, and anything that's black it takes it away as far as that particular layer goes. So that works fine. It looks like we got a bunch of snow. So let's fix that. That doesn't look like rain. The next trick is to add blur. So you go to your filter menu, go to blur, and say motion blur. Okay, and then when you play around with it, giving it the distance, you see you have the rain just sort of looking really heavy, looking really fast. You just play around with it and see what works best for you. Okay, you can even change the angle of how the rain is coming down. You can make it that way. I want to do it more like that because I like the way it sort of lines up with the lightning bolt by going that way. But then again, that's a little too much. Something like that should work. Okay, thank you, Joshua. Just saw your comment there. So then we hit OK. So that gives it a little bit more of a motion blur, and it starts to look a little more like rain. Unfortunately, that is way too much rain. So to fix that, you can change your opacity and fill options here. I'm going to start with the opacity, bring it down just a little bit. Yeah, see, I took it down too far, so I'm going to bring it up to about 80 should work. 80, 85 should work. And then I'm going to take the fill and push that down just a touch. Okay, you just got to find what works best for you, and I think that'll work for now. Okay, but I want to give it even more rain. I want to make it look like it's really raining a lot heavier than what it is, but don't overdo it. So we're going to create another layer just like what we did here, but instead of using black, I want to use white. So we're going to say select a solid color. We're going to use white this time. Click OK. We're going to turn it into a smart object. Okay, then we're going to go to filter, noise, add noise, and I'm going to crank it up a little bit more, something like that. Click OK. Then I'm going to change the blend mode. See, I can't do light in here because remember, everything that's white is going to show up and everything that's black is going to go away. So we need to select something like soft light. Okay, so now we have an extra layer of rain, but it still looks more like snow, so we have to add another filter and select motion blur, and let's crank it up just for the heck of it, something like that. Okay, change the angle, make that angle, we make the angle straight for now. Let's do that, keep it straight for now. Click OK. It's going to add some blur. Boom, that's done. Back to the opacity levels, back to the fill levels, just back it off just a little bit. Okay, just a little bit. Cool. All right, I think that's working so far, but there is a problem. If you look up here in the upper third of your image, in the bottom third, you'll see these little streaks, and that comes from the blur. So the best thing to do is just select your layer, and then you just do what they call a free transform. You go to edit and free transform. Me, I just hit Control T on my keyboard because I'm used to doing it a gazillion times. So I hit Control T. Whoops. Okay, so yeah, that's because it was a smart object, that's why it freaked out. So you hit Control T, and I'm going to stretch this out some. So hold your Shift key to keep your aspect ratio locked in place. So I'm just going to stretch it out like that, and that excuse me, now that should remove those little edges that look weird over there, you know, and maybe even just do a slight rotation like that, and then you just click OK at the top, and it's going to think. So that fixes that, but it's still there, so that means the bottom layer, that needs to be adjusted too. So just select it over here, Control T, yep, we know, and we're going to just stretch it out too, like that, and then just click OK. It's thinking. There, much better. Cool. So I'm going to play around with this fill just a bit, like that. Okay. All right, so we got our rain, we got our lightning, we have a nice clarified image, but we are not done. What we're going to do now is we're going to click Save inside of Photoshop, close Photoshop, and this is going to pop back over into Lightroom to finish this image up finally. All right, so we're almost there. Thanks for hanging in. So I'm going to click Save. It's going to think about it, saving. Have another sip. So that's done, and then we'll just hit close, and that's going to let me go right back to Lightroom, and it should give me my image. There it is. That is it, right? No. Yeah, that's it. Okay. All right, so now I want to do some dehaze on it and also do a little bit of contrast adjustment, because right now I have so much rain it looks a little bit hazy. So we'll just scroll to the top, hit this dehaze option, push that down a little bit. There we go. Give it a little contrast. There we go. So now we still have some rain, but the rain isn't terribly overpowering. There we go. Okay, that's pretty good balance right there. Perfect. And if you want, you can get really creative and play around with some of the split toning. I'm not going to do that this time. What I will do is mess around with the camera calibration and the red channel, push that up to the orange, and then I'll go down to this blue channel, push that to the teal, and look at what happens now. Just play with it slightly. There we go. I think that works, folks. So now we still have rain coming down in front of the building, coming down over here. You got a little bit showing over there. I can turn the dehaze back just a touch. There. Boom, we're done, folks. That's our image. If you want, you can do a vignetting on your image. Just scroll down, do a vignette like this, but I don't recommend it on this image. It's not really necessary. Yeah, vignetting doesn't do too much. You just make it a small one, but that's it. Cool. So we're done. It's pretty close to the other image here. We'll do a little compare contrast. So let's see if I do L like that, and then crap, where is it? I'm trying to find the other image. Like that. There we go. So that's the original, and that's what we just did. Original. This one is a little bit darker and a little bit colder in the temperature, but it's all good. It still looks pretty good to me. Cool. All right, so now that we're done, do you folks have any questions before we get out of here? This has been a another fun live stream. I always appreciate folks popping in and watching, and I appreciate the chat room interaction, and it's a lot of fun. I enjoy doing these. I enjoy helping people out, showing them a little bit of photography editing stuff that I know and that I've learned, and just passing it along. So I'm checking the chat for any questions. I'm with Miller. No questions at this time. Kind of Scotch answered that. Sweet. Thanks for the great tips. Awesome. So the people in the chat room, are you folks Creative Cloud subscribers? If you're not a Creative Cloud subscriber, I can help you out with that. I'm a Adobe authorized affiliate. You can get Photoshop, Lightroom, and I believe it's 20 gigs of cloud storage for $10 a month. And I can just send you a little affiliate link if you still need Photoshop and Lightroom. Highly recommend it. I had a blast. Great tips. I'm going to try my hand at it come Monday. All right, Mr. Miller, why are you waiting until Monday? Today's Friday. You got Saturday, Sunday. Why you want to wait? Mr. Olson says yes. Oh, you just lost your bundle? Oh, dadgummit. Gotta re-up that, my man. Good, best of luck to you on that. I have the full suite because I do all of this stuff. I use Premiere Pro, I use Audition, I use After Effects. At one time I was sort of piecemealing it and just paying for the stuff that I actually use, but it ended up costing me more doing it that way, so I ended up just going with the full suite, where you get Photoshop, Lightroom, After Effects, Premiere Pro, Audition, Bridge, InDesign. I mean, there's a ton of stuff out there. You get XD. Let's see, and you have more real estate on this 5K iMac. Nice. That's a very, very nice machine, my man. I'm a little bit jealous of you. Don't tell nobody that I'm jealous. And I saw that you said you saw me on the Twit network. I will be on, wait a minute. Also, I've been unboxing the drone the whole time, so I have to go back and rewatch. So, Mr. Olson, you got yourself a new drone and you fired up the live stream, but you just couldn't fight the temptation. You had to go ahead and unbox that drone. I ain't mad at you, brother. That's what's up. That's what's up. Mr. Miller said he saw me on the Twit network. Sunday, I will be on This Week in Tech Sunday evening, 6 p.m. Eastern time. I guess that's 3 o'clock Pacific time. So be sure to check out live.twit.tv, and I'll be hanging out over there with Mr. Laporte. I believe he'll be back because I know he's on mini vacation right now. But yeah, I appreciate the Twit network having me on and just allowing me to be a part of their family. Those are great people over there, and totally honored to be a part of that. All right, any other questions, folks? Got a bunch of emails coming in. Huh, sweet. Cool. Well, if we don't have any more questions, I'm going to allow you folks to go ahead and get back to your Friday night doing whatever it is you like to do. Hopefully you guys will have a really fun and happy and safe weekend. Be sure to try to spend some time with your loved ones and the people that matter the most. And then when you're not doing that, try to take a few minutes and just create something, okay? A lot of people always ask me about photography tips and how to get better and how to do this and how to do that with regards to photography. And almost every single time my answer is you need to shoot more. That's the only way you're going to get better at it. You have to shoot more. I know I shoot something every single day. Not a day goes by where I don't pick up a camera and snap a photograph. If it's my smartphone, DSLR, my drone, whatever, there's a camera in my hands every single day, and that's the only way that you can get better. Just practice, better practice, even better practice, and then you'll just continue to learn and just get better over time. So that's my advice to you all. Be sure to please hit the share buttons, the like buttons, and subscribe to this YouTube channel if you enjoy this type of content. I'd really appreciate that support. Check out the video description. I have a few links down there that are affiliate links, of course, that if you check them out, I get a little bit of a commission if it's something that you like, whether it's the camera or the drone and things like that. Adobe Stock, Adobe photography packages, what have you. I thank them for all of their support, and I thank Audible. I believe I have audiobooks. Audible has given me go to antpruitt.com/audible if you want 2 free audiobooks. I love my audiobooks. It's about the only way that I read any kind of books for leisure anyway. But you can get 2 for free if you sign up for the 30-day free trial. If you don't want to keep the service, you can cancel it before your 30 days is up and still keep your 2 free books. So I think that's probably one of the best deals that's on there right now. But thank y'all so much for popping in. Appreciate all of that support. Have yourselves a great weekend, and let's continue to create and dominate. Y'all take care.